Just making sure we're going live here. Setting up. Okay. All right, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Illuminate session with just getting things set up here. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Illuminate session with Sonia Tavares. And Sonia is a former professional singer turned sacred vocal sound healer and intuitive. Looking back on her life, it is very clear to her that her time as a performer was the preparation and the setting of the stage for her to use her voice in the way that she does now to help heal and clear people of trauma, energetic blocks. And she channels powerful healing frequencies with her singing voice and also messages from ascended masters, archangels, her highest self, and other divine beings. Sonia knows that this is not the first lifetime in which she had the ability to use her voice to channel the depths of divinity. She has done so many in other lifetimes as a priestess and an oracle of sacred vocal sound in different places around the world and other star systems. She is here now to use those skills to contribute to the freeing of humanity and life on this planet from the control of dark forces and to help create and usher in the new earth. It is vital that those of us who can embark on clearing and healing as much of our energetic debris from trauma and other issues so that we can focus on bringing in our divine light. As light workers, we can each contribute to these great planetary changes by doing so. Sonia is no stranger to trauma or to deep struggles within her life. She has been on a devout, healing, and spiritual path for 13 years, doing everything she can to free herself, to ascend, and to ultimately succeed within her life's mission. It is a unique experience to receive healing and guidance from Sonia and her spiritual team. The creative divine genius that pours through can be astounding and will be different each time. It is accurate to say you will never have experienced anything quite like it. And I can totally agree with that last statement because I am a part of your Mother Mary Beacon of Light, and it is absolutely incredible. So thank you so much for joining us here today, Sonia. Would you like to share a little bit as to like how did you awaken to this goddess divine feminine energy and what does it all mean to you?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Catherine, for this opportunity. And hello to everybody who is watching and will be watching in the replay. It is a joy to be here. So I do have a story as to my awakening to the divine feminine, and it's such a beautiful story. I just realized I forgot to bring something that I should have brought, but I can still get it. It
Would you
took
like
place,
to go grab it now?
sure, yeah. Let me just do that
Okay.
very quickly. It won't take long.
Okay.
Okay.
There you are.
Um, yeah, so it is a story that took place in Glastonbury. I know that you've been to Glastonbury, right,
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Yeah, I've had such incredible things that have happened to me there. I've gone multiple times because of how powerful it is of a place for me. So Glastonbury is in England, for those that don't know. And so I'll tell this story this a little bit more in detail, and other stories not so much detail because it might take too long. This one is just I really would love people to see the divinity, the creativity that the divine brings forth
Yeah.
when they want you to know something, when they want you to awaken. Like it is so beautiful. So what happened was that um, I had a Reiki teacher who and she has a Reiki center in Toronto where I live. And every year she's from England. And so she would take people back to England on a retreat. And the first year that I found out about it, I couldn't go. So I was so bummed out about not
Yeah.
being able to go. But then 2 years later, it was my time. And so the one of the reasons why I really wanted to go was because she kept showing pictures of where she would stay, and where she stayed or where the retreat was is at the Chalice Well,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So You know, the
I know. Yes.
yes, it is this incredibly beautiful but magical place. But
Yes.
on the property itself, there's an actual retreat center with
Okay.
bedroom. Like you can stay there and you have 24-hour access to the gardens. So the gardens are where there's all these beautiful flowers and all these energies, but also the actual well itself that it's known for, and the water, the spring water that comes forth from that area there. And so she kept saying, like, you could capture all of these orbs on your pictures. Like your camera will just like all of these different orbs. And she showed us. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I go, I want to experience it. So that was why I really wanted to go. And so I get there. And because we have 24-hour access, whereas normally the public can only go from certain hours, they have to pay
Yeah.
their ticket, but you can walk anytime. So that very first morning after arriving the night before, I was up very, very early before everybody else, maybe 6 a.m. And I decided to start taking my walk, the first morning walk. And I just a few steps into the garden and I turn and there's this beautiful archway covered in greenery. And as I'm like right in the center of the archway is a deer looking right at me. Like
Oh, wow.
eyes locked,
Yeah.
completely locked. And what? And so it goes in. And so I follow. I go through the archway and I'm in what they call the meadow. It's like all outlined with stone walls or bushes and trees, but it's not a very big meadow, but that's where I am. And I don't see the deer anymore, but I proceed to the center of the meadow. And all of a sudden, as I'm standing there, the same deer and a second deer come out from my top right, and they start to prance all around the perimeter of the meadow, around me in the center. And
Wow.
they do so twice. So, and my number at that point, like everybody says, things happen in threes. For me, my power number was always two. So it was
Okay.
two deer, and they did that two times.
Yeah.
And you can imagine like what that must have felt like. Like I don't even know how to describe it really. It
Yeah.
was so many different emotions at once. But they did the two rounds and they left. And so our retreat starts that morning and we have to share. We share what's on our mind. And I had to share what just happened for me. And part of me was like, oh, are people going to think that I'm crazy? Or are they going to be jealous that I had this experience and they didn't? Like, but I was so excited. And so a lot of them, like they were great, but they were saying, oh, it must be your spirit animal. And I'm like, I inside I knew that it wasn't about that. I
Yeah.
just had that feeling. But throughout the day, like one woman even got her a book that she happened to have with her. And she opened it up to the deer and all that. So that was my morning experience. But because I was so enthralled with being in the garden and capturing the orbs, like I went again that afternoon during our break. So I'm in now just the garden section, not the meadow. And I go and I sit in the bench. I refer to it as the angel bench because it has that angel statue. I don't know if you
Yes,
recall.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I was enthralled with Chalice Wells when I was there. I just loved it.
Yeah, it's such a magical place. That whole town is. So I sit at the bench. So the statue is just behind me. There's all this foliage, right? And behind the foliage, like behind me, I'm hearing like noises, right? What's going on? And I turn, and in between the foliage, I see a black cat, and it's gazing at me in the exact same way that that first deer did that very morning. Like
Wow.
just completely still and pause. Like it had to give me that interaction. And
Yep.
then it goes, like, what's going on? Right?
Yeah.
So again, I share that the next time I have the opportunity to share. And the next day, I think I saw deer again in the morning. and nobody else is seeing deer. But we go to, um, I don't know if you recall or if you went, but there is just opposite of the Chalice Well is the White Spring, but where you can actually go in and there's this beautiful reservoir of water and it's dark and there's candles. Do you have a chance to go in
I
there?
don't think,
Oh,
no, that's not in my memory. So,
yeah, it's literally you have to have they only open certain hours of the day. Anyway, we went there and it is just what I described. It's this reservoir of water that comes from the Tor
yeah.
and there's candles and altars all around. And it's
Mm.
altars to the fairy world, fairy realm. And I go and I visit each of the altars, and then all of a sudden there's one, and I see it's the Prince of Fairies, and he has so the painting is of the Prince of Fairies, and he has deer antlers coming out of his head, and I'm like, oh, the deer that I've just been seeing, now I'm seeing the deer there, and like I'm very like my back is towards the wall, and all of a sudden, like one of the retreat participants, she goes, Sonia, look. And I was literally standing underneath antlers that were coming out of the wall, like real antlers that were coming out of the wall. And it was like I was being crowned,
Yeah.
like literally, because they were like, I was just a few centimeters away from the actual crowning of it. And it just was like this the whole week. I- And people would point out, my fellow participants would point out, like, Sonia, look, like we would travel to another city and there would be signs with deer on them and all of these things. And then, and they kept still thinking that it was a spirit animal, but I knew, no, 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 it's not. Until finally I got my answer on one of the last days, the second last day. Now, Glastonbury has a goddess temple.
Okay.
You've been, if you
I
ever return,
haven't, no.
you must go. It is incredible. It is a small room essentially, but for years and years it has been a goddess temple, and there are statues all around and paintings. And like you walk in there, and in our culture, everything is to God being the masculine, right?
Yeah.
And so when you walk in, like for me, that was my first time, and I just started crying and
Mm.
just bawling from the
Yeah.
emotion. It literally was, oh my God, it's okay to be a female.
Mm.
Like that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
We go through so much as females. Um, and to feel like, wow,
Yeah.
the feminine is being honored,
Yeah.
honored in such in a way that even surpassed what I've seen in churches or other religious bodies, like where yeah, like the energy was palpable.
Yeah.
And so it's not your typical temple. It's like they've got cushions around the wall and you sit. It's that kind of a place. So I'm at one of the walls, just sitting and having my moment of tears and tears. And again, I look over. A lot of these stories are about looking over. I look over, and in the corner is this life-size statue of a woman, and she's got antlers coming out of her
Oh,
head.
wow.
And I see that there's a placard there, so I crawl over and it says the Lady of Avalon, I think is what it said, or Goddess of Avalon, probably.
Okay.
And it's starting to make sense, but I'm having all the emotions. I'm still having, because now as it's making sense, the emotions are even more. I stand up because I have to, right? I walk to the opposite wall. There's a chair, and I sit at that chair. And in front of me is an even bigger but life-size painting of the Lady of Avalon, the goddess of Avalon. And it was because of that painting that I had my awakening to the divine feminine, to goddess. And this is what I want
Wow.
to show you. It's the painting that I saw. So let me get, so she's
Wow.
got the antlers coming out, but then also there's a black cat right here.
Wow. You can't make this stuff up. Like
Can't
it's
make it
just
up. You can't.
wow.
And there's also
Wow.
a swan, and I ended up having experiences with a swan, but days later in Bath, the city of Bath, although it wasn't so poetic as the deer and the cat.
Yeah.
But it was because of seeing that, like, this was the culmination point,
Yeah.
and it just completely entered me. Like, I had heard of goddess before, but it never didn't make sense to me. I
Yeah.
didn't get it. I wasn't aligned with it. I was like, okay, that's nice, but I just don't feel it. But as of this moment, oh boy, did
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
And it just completely took off from there, completely. Before I continue the story, I will say that I later found out upon recounting the story to somebody who lives in Glastonbury. She said, there are deer in Glastonbury, but they never go to that side of town that you were in.
Yeah.
Like, they're always on the opposite side.
But even as you're telling this story, I'm like in my mind going, how would a deer get in there? Because the walls around it are quite large. Like it wouldn't be easy for a person to scale it, let alone a deer. But yeah, that's just the magic of it to me.
Exactly. Like, this was all orchestrated for me to have this
Yeah.
experience, for me to have this awakening. Though
Yeah.
deer were there and were that pertinent part,
Yeah.
truly. Um, and so, like, as I came home, like, my life became first it was the Lady of Avalon, and then eventually it became goddess, and just as the divine feminine, as the feminine aspect of God. It's
Yeah.
what it became for me. But I needed the Lady of Avalon, the goddess of Avalon, to be that opening. And there is a very palpable, and her energy is there. Like, it truly is.
Yeah.
Um, but it progressed for me. Like, it wasn't meant to stay always the Lady of Avalon.
Yeah.
Now, for me, through also finding the Sophia Code,
Mm.
the sacred text, which completely changed my life, which is also a huge part of the next story I'm going to tell. But it became Sophia God. It became God as that, like, I don't even have to say goddess, because God just is both feminine and masculine to me.
Yeah.
But the feminine is just this, it's that part, like, I know in past lifetimes that has been what my heart has been in devotion to. Not that it's not been to the masculine, but there has just always been this deeper
Yeah.
devotion to the feminine aspect of God.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that it completely changed my life and brought me more to who I am. Like, I
Yeah.
know that I needed to have that complete breakthrough in my consciousness, but also the
Yeah.
remembering, because I know, my goodness, how many times have I been a priestess? And maybe I'm sure you have as well. Like, how many times have we done so many other things in other lifetimes? But for me, in which that was such a huge aspect
Yeah.
of who I was and what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So that was kind of like the opening for you. And
Yeah.
then I have found for myself, I'll have these really big spiritual awakening moments. And then I come back to like kind of reality of like, come back home and you start to do your thing. So then how did you start to incorporate this Lady of Avalon into like the daily life? And how did that open up then to like the Sophia Code and the channelings that you're doing now?
Yeah. I'll have to get into the second part of the story for
Okay.
that. But it was just like she was just so present. Like, I didn't need to really um like, put in the calendar, okay, now think about her. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's because, like, that it just overtook
Yeah,
my life. And that to me is like, when you know something is so true to you and a part of who you are, like, that's what happens. It just becomes a part of your everyday, a part of your consciousness. And
yeah,
so that's what it was. And I would start talking to her and asking her questions, And so I'll say this. I don't know if it was the first or the second time that I got like I truly received an answer, because what happened next is that my same Reiki teacher who led that retreat, whereas she always did it every 2 years, all of a sudden, a few months after returning, she goes, "Oh, I'm doing it next year. Like, do you want to come?" Like, she starts promoting it. I'm like, "Of course I want to come. Of course I want to come. But how could I possibly? I just spent all this money on this retreat."
Yeah.
And what happened was the job that I had at that time, I was working for an international organization that had meetings internationally, but I had never been a part of those meetings up until this point where my boss literally came to me and said, "Sonia, we have to have a meeting in London in July. What date is the best for you?" He literally
Perfect.
came to me and asked, "What is the best date?" Anyway, long story short, I'm not going to go into all that, but it ended up being that not only would I go to the work meetings, but as literally like the very next day after they ended was the start of the retreat.
Wow.
But not only that, after the retreat ended was the goddess conference that takes place every year that I had learned about that first time at the goddess temple.
Yeah.
So I literally had my job pay for my flight on business class, like to show you how important this was, right?
Yeah.
Like I had never been on business class before. I go to work, I go to the retreat, I go to the goddess conference. In the middle of that, the day between the retreat and the start of the goddess conference, I had learned was July 22nd, which is the feast day of Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where the Ascended Masters started coming in.
Okay.
Because months prior to this, to me actually going that second time, Mary Magdalene made her presence known to me in like so many ways. Like, when you people send you promotions for events on your email, or it was Mary Magdalene, it was Mary Magdalene. Like everything was like she was just bombarding me. And I had never had that happen before. Like with like this was new to me. And there was even a book, I have it there. It's the Magdalene Manuscript. I don't know if you know it, but it's written by Tom or channeled by Tom Kenyon. And he is also a sound healer. This is
Okay.
very poignant. He channels, um, oh, I forget what they're called, the Hathors. He channels Mary Magdalene. He will literally sing he says their voices coming through him. But he wrote this book. And so because she's so much a part of like bombarding me, I remembered about this book, but I'd never read it. And so I looked into purchasing it, and it was on his website, but it was the kind of thing where the delivery would have cost more than the book itself.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to Glastonbury. It's such a spiritual town. Like there's all like bookstores and all of these different places where you can buy crystals and all these spiritual things. Maybe I'll find it there. Like even though it's a really old book, but it dropped into my mind, right?
Yeah.
And before I continue, Jesus also started doing the same thing to me. He started coming in and coming in and coming in. And prior to this, he had been playing the role of trickster to me. Was tuning into like this energy that I wasn't sure if it was him. And so I felt like deflated by what I
Yeah.
was receiving. Like I grew up Catholic. I knew Jesus, right? Like that was a part of my story growing up.
Yeah.
So he wasn't so much of a surprise, but he became a trickster energy. So what happened was when I was in London, I go to St. Paul's Cathedral. And in the distance, like I'm meters away from it, but there's this massive painting. And I see all this turquoise. Like I love turquoise. And I see all the turquoise. And that's what drew me to it, like the gold and the turquoise. And I walk to it, and it's Jesus. And it's that I have it there too. I was supposed to bring it, but he's like knocking on a door. Anyway, the point is, when I saw that painting of Jesus, it was again like this huge reawakening to Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like not in a Christian way, but in you're no longer the trickster. You're the true energy. Like I'm
Mm.
feeling the true Jesus energy coming from this painting. Like you are here,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it just became this thing where it would literally be Mary Magdalene giving me an experience, and then Jesus, and then Mary Magdalene, and then Jesus.
Wow.
Getting back to Mary Magdalene, when I get to Glastonbury that second time, again, the first day there, I walked to High Street where all those wonderful shops are. On my way back to the retreat center, which is what happening in the same place as the year before. And I turned my head, this time to the right. And what do I see in the glass window of the bookstore is that book, the
Yeah.
Magdalene manuscript. Literally in my like at this height, like right there.
Wow.
And like to me, like Glastonbury is all full of synchronicities. Like that's what this place is.
Yeah.
But I've like really truly had beautiful experiences. And so I go into the store and I ask the person working there, is that your only copy? Like, do you have any others? He goes, no, I'm gonna have to get that one. And of course, because it's an old book, right? Like it wasn't recently published. But that book, Mary Magdalene placed that book there for me specifically.
Yeah.
Like she may not physically done it, but she ensured that it
Yeah.
was there for me to purchase.
Yeah.
So I purchased it, of course. And within those days of the retreat, and again, because I have all this access to the land there, we were on a break. I start reading the book. I'm in the first chapters of the book. And those first chapters, he's channeling Mary Magdalene's story after after Jesus' death, in which they had to leave, like Mother Mary and her and the whole family had to leave Palestine and make their way to France. But then she says that they were literally in Glastonbury and lived in Glastonbury for several years.
Okay.
And so here I am reading these words for the first time. At that point, I didn't, like, I had only heard, I think, of her in France, or I don't even know if I knew at that point because it was still so fresh and so new to me.
Yeah.
But here I am reading these words of the book that she wanted me to specifically have. And she's talking about being in Glastonbury and living there. And I'm crying and crying and crying again
Yeah.
because, oh my God, what if the land that I am lying on right now, what if she stepped over it?
Yeah.
What if her, what if she sat there too? Like
Yeah.
it was just like that
Yeah.
kind of a feeling, you know? Anyway, yeah, I tear
No,
up. The times
I
I
get
haven't
it.
teared
Yeah.
up more. Um, yeah. And so the retreat ended and July 22nd comes as her feast day, the day I know something has going to have to happen on this day. The whole day goes by, the whole day goes by, and not much happens. And I'm alone because the retreat has ended, and I have dinner alone. And on my way back, I'm like, oh man, like why didn't anything happen today?
Yep.
Yeah, gosh darn it. And then so because of the retreat center is right beside the two springs, I of course had to go and have my water. And at this point it's like 9 o'clock, 9:10 at night. It's just starting to become dark. And I have an experience. I'm not going to go into it. There's a lot that I've skipped over, but I'm not going to go into it. But I end up meeting my twin flame
Mm.
right then and there. At that point, I had no idea that that was happening,
Yeah.
but it was the most incredible experience.
Yeah.
And I'm not one, like he and I were not meant to be in a relation. It wasn't about being a relationship, but we activated each other like in several ways. And we never maintained contact. We never exchanged numbers or anything. Um, so I've never spoken to him since, but we had several days in which we would all of a sudden encounter each other. And that just led to a whole opening up sacred relationship for me.
Mm.
So like so many things were happening. And but it's like so much more happened than that. But upon returning to Canada after the second time, because I'm so in love with Mary Magdalene at this point, I Google her.
Yeah.
And the first thing that pops up is Kaya Ra, who is the author of the Sophia Code, and she is channeling, or it's a Mary Magdalene, because
Yeah.
Mary Magdalene is one of the key code masters in the Sophia Code.
Yeah.
And so that not only did Mary Magdalene open me up to ascended masters, because now I work with them all the time. I work with her, Jesus, Mother Mary, and many others. So she opened up that world to me. She opened up the world to twin flames and this sacred relationship. She brought me to the Sophia Code.
Yeah.
And like I have so much gratitude to this to this incredible being for what she did for me in this lifetime, truly.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. And so the Sophia Code completely changed my life. So I was saying before, it's a sacred text, in which it's all divine feminine ascended masters, and it opens you up to Sophia God. And so in God is both feminine and masculine, but it's this incredible book that every time you read it, it's just clearing and healing you more, and opening you up to so many things that we have been has been hidden from us, and that we've been brainwashed, so much brainwashing in this matrix. But that book is just gonna just whew, like
Yes.
really wake you up.
Yes.
And like I was saying, you just don't read it once. The next time you read it, you're just going to get a whole other level of upgrades. And the next time and again, and like there's just so much there.
Yeah.
I ended up doing like 4 or 5 years of all of Kaya Ra's programs, and I became a Sophia Circle leader as well. So my whole world just became like the divine feminine and ascended masters and ascension. Like I also like that has been a huge thing for me in my process as well
Yeah.
as ascension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which,
It's just incredible. And it's actually the Sophia Code. We were on a Zoom meeting together and you said something about the Sophia Code, and it was that which made me go, I need to know you more, because I was in the process of actually reading the Sophia Code at the time and had kind of paused, which apparently it means you're supposed to read through that much more when you pause.
yeah.
Um, and it's so interesting to me because it was with the Sophia Code that I actually started to open up to the feminine aspect of God and the whole goddess energy and this divine feminine. And like you said at the beginning, it was something that I didn't even realize was missing from my experience as a woman in this lifetime, was to be able
Yeah.
to recognize that divine feminine within myself and to celebrate what that is. So I love what you're doing with the work and in kind of helping to others to open up to that divine feminine aspect and to remember. That's such a huge word. But to remember that sacred power that each of us carry.
Absolutely. It's so important, so vital. It
Yeah.
really, really is. And even for men, like not just for women, but for men too. Like when you go to that goddess temple, you like, and you will hear stories, but you will see men weeping. You will see men having their experiences as well,
Yeah.
because it is such a strong energy there.
Yes.
It has been cultivated all these years. And you don't experience that. We don't have these temples around the world. There may be a few here and there, but it changes the trajectory of your life. Like if it's meant to,
Yes.
maybe not everybody would, but if you're on meant to be on that path, like it really does something.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put it into words, but you can
Mhm.
feel it activating something inside of you and something that feels like a bigger truth inside of you. I don't have the words to explain it. So,
I know.
oh,
Yeah.
so I know you work with, I guess, a lot of ascended masters, or like who is it? Mary Magdalene, Jesus, Mother Mary, like who?
Yeah. There are others. There are others for sure.
Okay.
There are others that are in the Sophia Code that I will also work with as well that will come in. Um, So that can include Kuan Yin, it can include Green Tara, Isis. Isis is
Yeah.
definitely. but all aside from there's Ganesha. Like I love Ganesh. I usually say Ganesh, but he's not within the Sophia Code, at least not yet, as far as I'm aware. But because there are more books coming, it's not just the Sophia Code. I don't know
Okay.
if you know that. There
I
are
didn't know
the
that.
other
No.
ones. Yeah.
Okay.
So I love Ganesh. Oh my goodness. I adore him, absolutely adore him. There's Saint Germain has been such a
Mm.
huge
Yep.
part of my spiritual life too. There's the Archangel, like Archangel Michael, Raphael, there's Kali Ma and Sekhmet. Like these are ones that are definitely very prominent for me, but also in my work. So they'll help me with all of the clearings and the healings and the messages and whatever needs to come through for that person specifically,
Yeah.
they will come through.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. And I feel like this is actually a perfect segue for us to talk about your Mother Mary Beacon of Light
yeah,
that you're currently running, and I've been a part of since May. Um, I guess that's when it started was May. Um,
yes.
but in a similar fashion to how Mary Magdalene came to you, Mother Mary, uh, she has so May kind of really started to solidify my connection to Mother Mary. But in hindsight, it's like, oh, she's been with me since I was 16. And I
Mm.
did not even recognize it. But now it's like there's so many of these like symbolic pieces along my path that's been like, wow, it's been there all along. I just couldn't see it. So sh- if you want to, I know what the Mother Mary Beacon of Light is all about, but if you want to share it with others, I think it's such a powerful thing that you're doing.
Yes, thank you. So, yeah, it was back in May. Like literally, I think the May 12th, no, the 11th, I had this download of something that I should offer, and it was from Mother Mary. And I'm of Portuguese descent. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, but my background is Portuguese. And so I grew up with this particular story of Mother Mary appearing in Fatima, Portugal in the year 1917 to three children. And she would appear, so the first time was May 13th, and then she came again every month on the 13th to appear and provide them messages and information. She did so for 6 times, and the last time was October 13th. And at that point, there was this massive miracle in which she made it appear as though the sun was falling down upon the earth. And but then like it looked like people thought they were going to die. Like it had been pour of rain, and then all of a sudden the sun falling upon the earth, and everything becomes dry, right? But then as before it is about to hit, it just starts to recede and go back up. But that is what thousands upon thousands of people came because as the children were having these apparitions, it became well known. And so people would come because they wanted their miracles. They wanted to experience her. And
Yeah.
by that last time, there was literally thousands and thousands of people there. And so I had the download to offer this particular series starting on the 13th of May and every month on the 13th until October 13th. And to call it be a beacon of light because Mother Mary she's within this series. It's like she's activating different things within us, but it's all about truly coming out as this light being, and in doing so, having great effect upon the world, upon humanity, upon the planet. Like, because it's such a necessary thing for us to be doing, of course, at this time. And so I recorded it today. Today is August 13th. And so I released it. And she very specifically said that things are getting deeper now. And what happened, like one of the things that happened was that there was an electric force, an electric charge is what it was called, that happened within our spines. And she was essentially saying that this, like, it's going to be something that you could actually use, this electric charge that is already within you, but is being activated. And so you'll be able to do something with this or specific work with this electric charge within you.
Awesome.
And she was like preparing us for it getting to be getting even deeper with these next few days after watching this particular and receiving this session, and then the September and October session as well. I'm really looking forward to the October one because
Me
it's that
too.
pinnacle, right? And you're going to be on the Camino,
I'm
right?
going to be on the Camino, and I don't know whereabouts I'm going to be, but there's so many churches along the way that are dedicated to Mother Mary. And so, depending on where I am, because I'm really going in with not much of a plan this time. Last time I was very regimented and like, this is what we're going to do. And that didn't really work out for me. So this time I'm like, God, you've got this. So wherever I am on October 13th when I receive that is where I'll be listening to it. But I'm really hoping to be in a church that's dedicated to Mother Mary at that time because I feel like it will be more that much more powerful for
Yeah.
me.
I
So
every time I tune into you specifically and you being on that journey, like I feel you're specifically going to get a lot out of that one. Like you really, really are. I
yeah,
think that I have.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would I can totally feel that already because yeah, it's interesting and it almost sounds selfish, but I'm not trying to be selfish, but it feels like every single one you've sent has just been for me. And I know I'm not the only person receiving them.
Yeah, but no, but when it happens that way, it's very significant. It is for you, right? Like,
Yes,
it is for everybody
yes.
else, but it absolutely is for you. That's how the divine works. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So just been absolutely magical to experience that. And I'm really looking forward to listening to today's. And then, of course, September's, but October's, I am most looking forward to that one for sure. It does feel like a big activator. So, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I want
And
to, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to see if you would be able to share a sample of your channelings with us
Oh,
as we're
yeah.
talking about it.
Yes, absolutely. And so because I did the Mother Mary channeling earlier, I kept the statue out here and I said, oh, I'm probably going to channel hers or her frequencies again tonight. So I kept it there. Let me just have a sip of water first.
Yeah. And was there anything else you wanted to share before you do the sample? Because I know you were just about to speak.
Oh, I was
So,
just going to say that people can still sign up. You
oh,
provided the link
yeah,
beneath all the different promos that you've done. But also, if you go to my website, it's still there on the home page. And you'll receive all the previous recordings on one website page. So
awesome.
please, like if this has called out to you in any way and you feel that you would like to receive this and be this beacon of light, then definitely register for it and I'll send you the link.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm just going to actually type that right into the comments here. Um,
Okay.
Veris.com, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right.
Okay, let me just do something here. Change my setting there. All right. Okay.
And is it okay if I close my eyes while we do this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to ask everybody to, whether you're sitting down, first of all, don't be driving or anything like that, just in case you are, but hopefully you are home and you're sitting down and just have your feet planted. You want to be very rooted, connected to the earth, feeling that connection. You're in your body, in your body. Now tuning into your sacred heart and be open to receive these frequencies, receive that which you need to receive in this moment. And because this may be new to you, the types of sounds that you will be hearing, just know that they can be loud, they can be very soft, they can be sounds maybe you've never heard, but this is part of the experience. This is sound healing, but in this way through voice. So just enjoy and receive. Allowing these frequencies to land on your body and also within your body. Specifically now allowing it into your heart. Feeling expansion within your sacred heart. And from the back of your heart, you are radiating this light. This light is radiating from out of you, all 360 degrees around you, penetrating the earth, penetrating the east and the west and the north. You are this radiant divine being. You are now, you have always been, and you always will be. And at any point, you can access this energy within your heart. This light. This light is always available to you. Always, always available to you. It is you. It is the light of your soul. And just allowing these frequencies to settle in your body, going further down now into your hips, your thighs, into your knees, to your calves, and into your feet. It's filling your entire body, these frequencies. But as this is happening, you are grounding again and grounding, connecting to the earth, feeling her love, the magnetic pull from Gaia, Mother Earth herself. Taking a deep breath in and out. 2 more, taking a deep breath in and out. And one more. And whenever you're ready, you can start to begin to open your eyes. If you need to tap your body in any way or maybe shake it out in some way, you can do that too. Whatever you feel called to do.
That was amazing. There's sounds that come out of your throat that I'm like, I have no idea how you create these sounds. But I guess that's part of being a sacred vocal sound healer, right?
Yeah. Like I don't know what's happening either. I don't know what's about to come out. I don't have a sense. Like
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, at times I will know, okay, this specific thing is like if I'm working one on one or with a group, this specific thing is happening to clear. But I'm shown visions. But in terms of, I never know what's going to come out of me. Never know.
yeah,
And it's not, it's different every time. It's always
yeah.
a different experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so amazing. So amazing. Thank you so much for sharing the sample with us. And again, if anybody is wanting to sign up for her Beacon of Light with Mother Mary, it is available on her website, and I've got the link posted there. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And then the last thing I guess I want to talk to you about is you've got another program that you've started, but I feel like there's kind of a lead up story into this program and how this is now how you're sharing your beacon of light with the
Yeah.
world. So I don't know where you want to start with that, but I'm just
Yeah,
going to lead you with that.
for sure. Yes. Thank you. So, as so many of us have, I've been on a very intense healing journey for many years now. But in the last 2 years, what happened to me is that I had several experiences that led me to remember incestual abuse.
Yeah,
And I will say who because this person has passed away many, many years ago, and it was my father. And I feel it's important to say that, to
yeah,
say who it was, because most people have to hide. They can't talk about it because that person is still living or it's going to bring shame to their family or what. And I'm at a point in my life where no, I need to speak about this.
yeah,
And because he's no longer living and there's a lot of backstory around it and a lot of tensions around certain things, but no, I'm going to start talking about it. And I
yeah,
feel that just by me saying it is going to help people who have either experienced from their father or other family members or
yeah,
whomever. But I know that these words coming out of my mouth and as I write about it, it's doing something.
yeah,
And so as I started to have memories or like I don't have full-blown memories of it the way that other people have always known. I
yeah,
it became I repressed it.
yeah,
And in many ways I don't want to have actual memories, but there are specific things that I do know that completely point to it happening. And there's anyway, I
yeah,
know, my body knows, my soul knows that this happened
yeah,
many times, I think for many years. And so as this was coming to me, I started receiving the seeds of information. Sonia, you're here to help people with
mhm,
this kind of who've experienced this. Sexual trauma doesn't have to just be sexual abuse or incest specifically, but sexual trauma. So as I'm going through all the hell I had to go through and healing and healing and healing, which I'm still doing,
yeah,
um, it just started to grow that inner knowing you're meant to do something to help people with this.
yeah,
And so after the whole Mother Mary thing, the Be a Beacon of Light, it also began to solidify that now it's time. You are ready to do this. And the program itself was born. Um, and so, what it is an 8-week program that's currently running right now, but that I will be launching officially. It's, I'm going to start it again September 25th.
okay,
um, because this is not just a one-time deal. This is such an important thing that I know. that I
Yeah.
have to offer this many times. Like I could record it and sell it on my website, but I don't want to do that. I want these to be live experiences, and I know that each journey will be different,
Yeah.
and we'll go even deeper, but and will depending on who's in the program, it'll hit different ways depending on what the needs of the people are. But it is such an incredible multi-dimensional program. Like
Beautiful.
it's called Release the Wounds, or Releasing the Wounds of Sexual Trauma, and we're clearing the energetic debris that when you experience this, and most of us have, like, who have experienced it, it wasn't just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
It happened, it was reoccurring, and with different people and at different stages of our life. So
Yeah.
most of us have not just that one experience, but you have so much, and most
Yeah.
of us don't do anything about it. Like maybe we go to talk therapy, but talk therapy is not going to necessarily get at clearing all of these
Yeah.
energies that are within you and within your the different energy bodies.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
I know for myself too, be, there's been three, two sexual abuse and one sexual assault that I've experienced. And there's been fragmented parts with
hmm
those different experiences. So it's like the 2-year-old, split into like 5 different parts. And so clearing all of the different fragments as well is so important in being able to re-own your power and
yeah,
to feel more healed with it. So sorry, just go
yeah.
on.
Oh, for sure. No, thank you. um yeah, so um and like I literally, with each session, we are pulling out all those different aspects of
Yeah.
you that experience those things. And even like I even say, bring out the ones that we aren't aware of, because like me, I didn't
Mm,
remember for my whole life.
yeah.
And so even if you are aware of trauma, sexual trauma, maybe there's others that you are not even aware of because you did
Yeah.
repress those. You had to, right? To protect yourself. So, and it's not just that. It's okay. So I'll share, we have an opening ceremony. Then we have a session that's specifically clearing the physical body. The next one is the mental, like I'm talking now energy bodies. So the
Yeah.
mental body, and then there's the emotional body. And then we go into your past lives.
Mm,
Because, I mean, even if you didn't experience sexual trauma in this life, you could be walking around with so much trauma because of what your other lifetimes
yeah.
are doing to you, like how it's affecting you here right now.
Yeah.
So we go very specifically into that and removing the cords and removing, um, again, going into DNA. And
Yeah.
then the next one is your ancestors.
Mm,
And we do the same thing because, again, even if you've never experienced it in this lifetime, you're bringing it. It's in your DNA. All of that trauma, all of the sadness, all of the fear, all of the pain is within you.
yeah.
So we are doing massive clearing on those levels. And I didn't realize when it first came to me, but as I've been doing it, I'm bringing in those past lives to each and every session. I'm bringing in the ancestors to each and
Mm,
every session.
yeah.
So even before we get to the ones that are designated, they are already there, and they are there. They come because
Yeah.
they know how much they will free them. They want to be freed.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. Like I'm like one of after our physical body one, like me as like I'm the one channeling and leading these sessions, but I'm also receiving, right? I'm
Yeah.
receiving as well. And like the next day, I'm like, oh, there was this massive space all around me. Like it's like I was set free.
Yeah.
And it felt, even though I know it was related to me, but it was also very much those past lives and ancestors. I know that the work is so deep that is happening. I want people to realize, first of all, how much you are affected at those levels
Yeah.
beyond what you experience in your own life, but how much you can free yourself by freeing them. Like
Mm,
I'm truly like I'm experiencing it firsthand,
yeah.
how important it is, but how, like, what it actually does. Yeah. Then we have the second last session is a Mother Earth healing, like
Mm,
healing the planet of sexual trauma. So as we step out of those first 4 sessions, it then becomes we're becoming a part of these healings themselves. Like, so you as the participant are also going to direct that past life session because you have that power to do it. And you're also going to help direct the ancestral healing
Yeah.
because you can. And that's an important step in this, is taking back your power and being
Mm.
able to do that. So when we get to that planetary one, we're full on. Like, we've built up, we've cleared and healed so much, and we are so on our power, and we're doing it at that level. We're
Yeah.
doing it at like humanity level. Animals who experiences it from humans. We're doing it to for the planet itself, who
Yeah.
also has all these resources, is raped, you know,
Yeah.
by all the resources taken from her and all the things done to her, and just the energy of all that's lurking in the
Yeah.
air and the water on the land because of all that happens here. We're just going to do this massive, massive healing and
Wow.
clearing. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah. And so the very last one is the closing ceremony. And what I've been told is that throughout the whole thing, we'll be receiving empowerments. But that very last one is just going to be very focused on empowerments,
Mm.
specific to the individual, like what they very specifically need and what will help them with their purpose and fulfilling their purpose. But also, the other beautiful aspect of this program is that it's essentially the beginning of a movement. Now, I know many people may be fearful of hearing that, and they would just want to be in the program and receive the healing, and that's totally fine. But I know that beyond, after the program, those of us who are called to are meant to do more of that planetary work. We're meant to do grid work or whatever it is to heal rape consciousness,
Mm.
to obliterate it off
Yeah.
of this planet.
Yeah.
So, like, I can see us coming together, whether it's monthly on calls and doing specific work. Like, they've been showing me, several of us maybe will actually come together in different places in the world to specifically do energetic work in this area. But it's very much because we have done the work of this program. We're going
Mm.
to be receiving empowerments and upgrades that will help us to then
Yeah.
do that kind of work if we are called to do it. Not
Yeah.
everybody, again, is going to want to. But you will be able, you will be a different person. Even if you choose not to do that, you will be able to direct it in your own way. Like, do what you feel called to do, even if you don't feel like doing it as a group or for that level.
Yeah.
But that's what this is to me. It's not just the healing aspect for the individual, it's what can be done after. Like, that's what was so exciting for me, is because we like, and it's a call to light workers.
Yeah.
And I believe most of us are of the light. Like, to me, a light worker is a being of the light who knows that they are here to do work of the light for the
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
And so as people awaken to being that, they just might want to partake in this kind of thing because we need it. The
Yeah.
planet needs it. Humanity needs it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. It sounds like an incredible program.
Yeah.
And it always, I think one of the things that inspires me most about human beings is we can go through some really horrific things and still find a way to connect with the light within us, to connect with the light that is God,
Yeah.
Sophia, whatever you want to call it, and to use that to help humanity at large. And I love hearing how you've been able to call your power back, but then also to ignite that with other people. Like that truly is what it's all about, you know?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
thank you on behalf of the world.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Uh, this has been such an honor to have you on here today, Sonia. And I will get your website links and stuff back into the comment section for anybody else who is wanting to connect with you. And you said you've
Yes.
got this new program starting September 25th.
Yes. And
And
Can I just quickly say
Yeah,
that? So because I want people to sign up. So currently, if you go to my website on the homepage, there's a section there too. It'll take you and it'll describe the program. But what I'm currently offering is it's the usual price is 888 Canadian. It's currently on for 777. If you pay in full by August 31st, you'll get a free private session with me specifically to work on your very specific sexual trauma. Because the group, we don't go into anybody's specific story at all.
yeah.
And there's also an opportunity to receive pay for 3 monthly payments and that's only until next week, August 23rd, because after that date, the only option will be 2 monthly payments or the full payment in price. So full payment. So it's a really good opportunity if you want to pay in installments to take advantage of the three monthly payments because obviously it's less at a time.
Yeah.
But go to my website, the information is there if you're interested, and take advantage of these really early bird rates and offers that won't be available as of next week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And I look forward to seeing the Beacon of Light, Mother Mary, channeling when I get to listen to that tonight. And also to see where this is all taking you and the impact that you're about to make on the world.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative of this opportunity and I wish you so many blessings and really on your journey in on the Camino. I know it's going to be amazing for you.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks so much, Sonia.
Thank you.